Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our reactions to the Qatar Grand Prix. We're running late, but sounding great. I told you we'd get round to it in the end. Here we are. My goodness, what a lot to get into. We'll get into all of it, trust me on that. Before we do though, remember to like and subscribe, those are the rules. And a huge shout out to our members, Dakota, The Joyous James, Robin Myers and Cinnamon Strudel. And of course it is December the 1st today, which means the Advent Calendar is back up and running. The first Advent Calendar video is out right now on the channel if you want to go check that out. But let's get into this. I didn't do a video yesterday for qualifying because, much like today, I was out and about, but Max Verstappen took pole until he didn't, which is the first of many questionable penalties of the weekend. So basically what happened, Max Verstappen took a tremendous pole position, but then received, for the first time in Formula One history, a one-place grid penalty. The reason being that he was driving unnecessarily slowly on an outlap and apparently blocked George Russell, who was also on an outlap. The reason people have called this into question is the unnecessarily slowly thing happens every weekend. If you've been watching this channel for a while, it seems like every other qualifying reaction video I go, okay, and here's the list of everyone who was driving unnecessarily slowly, and they all got away with it. This is the first time ever that this has actually resulted in a penalty. Even in a track like Monza, where, driving unnecessarily slowly is a very popular thing to do to try and gain an advantage, they've never given a penalty for it until now. Apparently, Max Verstappen was furious with it. And there was lots of shouting at George Russell, who apparently was being incredibly George Russell-like in terms of fighting to make sure that Max got any kind of punishment possible. Apparently the two of them are no longer on speaking terms. Max Verstappen's alleged last words to him being, "I'll get it back in the first corner anyway." We'll get onto that in a second. But yeah, ridiculous penalty, but here we are. As we go to the track, all the cars are on medium tyres, apart from Nico Hülkenberg, who was on the hards. And as the race starts, Max Verstappen takes the lead immediately into turn 1. But George Russell doesn't just lose P1, he also loses P2, because Lando Norris comes down the inside, takes P2. Norris side by side with Verstappen as they come out of turn 2, but Verstappen is able to keep the lead with Lando Norris down to P2. But then the safety car comes out because Colapinto is out, Ocon is out, Nico Hülkenberg has a puncture. When it looks like it happened in turn 1, Hülkenberg just lost the rear end, collected Ocon, who then collected Colapinto. Hülkenberg was able to carry on from this point. He did have a puncture, but both Ocon and Colapinto out of this race. No penalty for this for Hülkenberg. I imagine because it was just a turn 1 thing, they normally are a bit more relaxed on that. But seeing what they gave penalties for throughout the weekend, I'm a bit surprised that didn't get one, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But the huge news from this, the biggest news that no one saw coming, not even a rumour of this happening, but that moment there of Esteban Ocon climbing out of his car after turn 1 on lap 1 is the last time we will see Esteban Ocon in an Alpine. It's been announced shortly after the race that Ocon will be leaving the team with immediate effect. Now, of course, we already knew that he was leaving the team and going to Haas for next year, but with one race to go, Alpine have gone, nah, Ocon's done. So Jack Doohan will be in the Alpine for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. His F1 debut being brought forward by one race. But yeah, I think that's a bit sad for Ocon. I mean, he hasn't had the greatest last couple races. I mean, he started last in this race and then DNF'd. I mean, I don't think the DNF was his fault in any way. But still, I mean, if we look at his... I'm trying to find his results for this year quickly in the background here. So Ocon is there. So he hasn't scored points in a long time, actually. So 18 points for Brazil, of course, when he had that incredible P2. But that is his only points finish since Belgium. So in Belgium, he finished 8th. Then since then, his only points finish has been Brazil. But I mean, that Brazil moment was incredible. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly has scored points 4 times three times in the last 4 races, and the one race he didn't score points in was the race in Las Vegas where he was third, then his engine blew up because it was going too fast. So, yeah, it hasn't been great for Ocon, but, I don't think that's due cause to kick him out a race early. And also, what you got to remember about Ocon, he's been in that team for years. For so long, he's been in that team. And I think he deserves a bit more respect from the team to have that final race, to go into that race knowing that that's going to be it. He's been in the team since 2020. So I think this is very uncalled for from Alpine, and shows that they're kind of going back to that cutthroat place that they used to be back in the Renault days with Alonso, where, Alonso's teammate would be dropped every year with a few races to go. Maybe that's the Flav effect. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, uncalled for from Alpine. Of course, not the end of Esteban Ocon. He'll be back next year with the Haas team. So, moving on, though, back to the race, because not only was that wasn't the only incident on lap 1. We're still on lap 1, by the way. Albon also got hit by Stroll. This gave Stroll some damage. Albon seemed to be okay. I mean, he wasn't the fastest, but he's also in a Williams, so maybe there's a bit of both there. Safety car ends on lap 5. A very good restart from Max Verstappen. Further back, Oscar Piastri passes Charles Leclerc for P4, but Liam Lawson is off the track. Very similar incident to what happened with Hülkenberg. He just lost the rear end. He hit Bottas at this point here, but Bottas very lucky to get away with seemed like no damage at all and carry on from there. But they're both able to continue. At this point, lap 7, Oscar Piastri is all over the back of George Russell. We get a 10-second penalty for Lance Stroll for causing the collision with Albon. I mean, realistically, if that's a penalty, then the Hülkenberg one is. And they're both lap 1 incidents. I mean, one's turn 1, so maybe that's the difference, but there you go. I have more to argue about the penalties as we carry on. Stroll was told to retire the car, but then he got the penalty, so he served the penalty, and then he would retire the car a couple laps later. Lewis Hamilton is noted at this point for a false start. On the replay, you can see he does jump the start, but he instantly realises, stops, and then goes again, and if anything, lost out there. If they were still using the old jump start system, I think he would have got away with it. But now with these whole new sensors and stuff, there was no way, and that was a definite penalty for him, came later on. Now, Pierre Gasly, who's had a fantastic weekend, but hasn't been able to take much from it up until this point, he goes for a move on Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki very late defence on that on lap 11. Gasly not happy at all. We get a 10-second penalty for Liam Lawson for the collision with Bottas. Again, Hülkenberg was fine, but whatever. Gasly round the outside of Yuki Tsunoda for P10. He finally gets it done on lap 13. We have a beautiful move from Fernando Alonso around the outside of Yuki Tsunoda for P11. Now the penalty comes for Lewis Hamilton, 5 seconds for the false start. Yuki Tsunoda continues to go backwards as Zhou Guan Yu was on a charge this weekend. He gets past Yuki up to 12th place. Once again, Oscar Piastri is reeling in Russell, pulling him in. And then as he gets close again on lap 17, he has a big hit of oversteer into the final corner, and that gap widens once again. Yuki Tsunoda, he's still going backwards. Valtteri Bottas passed him now for lap 13 for P13 on lap 20. George Russell once again under a lot of pressure from Oscar Piastri, but he comes into the pits from 3rd place on lap 24 for the hard tyres, that has a very slow stop. 7 seconds was the stop. He was down to P11 from there. And now, everyone, the drama begins, because there's a mirror on the track. Whose mirror was it? It was the mirror of Alex Albon. It flew off the car. It's on the track. And, okay. Let's breathe, because there's a lot to talk about here. So there's a mirror in the middle of the straight, on the start-finish straight, just after the pit exit. And obviously the right thing to do is get rid of it. But for some reason, instead of throwing out a safety car or a virtual safety car, they just do double wave yellows. But then the gap never appears for them to get a marshal to go out there and clean it up. So they just wait and wait and wait. And my mind is thrown back to the Australian Grand Prix of last year, which was also chaos. But I remember they once gave us a full course safety car because there was some gravel on the track. Why wasn't this a virtual? I've seen maybe the excuse of if it had been a virtual, there still wouldn't have been the gap for someone to run on and get it. But surely it is better than double waved yellows. Because with double wave yellows, you really can't do anything. And this just caused every other bit of drama. This is the biggest butterfly effect we may ever see in a single Formula One race. Because Alex Albon's mirror flying off the car leads to Lando Norris not lifting in the double waved yellow zone. We get a snitch watch, everyone. It's been a while since we had a snitch watch. And this was Max Verstappen reporting on Norris not slowing down. The replay shows he hit the rev limiter, so he definitely was not slowing down. Then the butterfly effect continues, because Valtteri Bottas just runs over the mirror. Valtteri Bottas, who has had tremendous pace this weekend, but in this race was determined to DNF. He had the thing with Lawson, obviously not his fault. Now he's just running over the mirror. Thankfully, he was okay, but the mirror was destroyed. 1 minute it's there, 1 minute it is just dust everywhere. And the dust caused by the mirror causes both Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz to both have punctures on the same lap from the mirror debris, which then causes them both to fall down the order and have to pit, which pushes Zhou up to P10. There will be another flap of the butterfly's wings before this race is done, but already Albon's mirror falling off has caused 2 punctures, Norris being investigated by the stewards, Bottas's car might be damaged, and Zhou in the top 10. Very, very strange. But as we continue now, Sainz pits. He has a slow stop. It's a 9.8 second stop. Zhou Guanyu is now up to 9th, everyone. I was on Zhou watch yet again, because of course Sauber yet to score points at this point in the season. Then on lap 35, we finally get the safety car. So it's like, I wonder if Bottas hadn't run over the mirror, would they have just gone, well, we'll just keep it double wave yellows until the end of the race? Because there was no indication of anything else. And that's the biggest overtaking zone of the race. They just went for lap after lap after lap. No overtaking here. Make sure you slow down. There might be a mirror. So I just wonder what they would have done if the chaos hadn't happened. But anyway, the pits are open now. Everyone's in. Verstappen, Norris, Hamilton, Leclerc, Gasly, Perez, Russell, Zhou, Alonso, Yuki, Albon, Lawson. Everybody's in. The safety car has to go through the pit lane because of course, the mirror debris is everywhere. We don't want people running over that. Alonso and Magnussen are racing in the pit lane. Alonso comes out ahead. Of course, you are allowed to do that in the pit lane, even behind the safety car. Lando Norris has a big lockup as he enters the pit lane. He's on the radio saying, I wasn't speeding, I promise. But yeah, big lockup for him. Safety car ends now on lap 40, and it is a dreadful restart from Max Verstappen. Nearly costs him the entire race because he just went too late. It's then revealed that the safety car's lights didn't go off. So Max and Lando, who were first and second at this point, both didn't know that the safety car had ended. Then all of a sudden the safety car was in the pits. Max hadn't done his restart properly. Then all of a sudden had to go, giving everyone the biggest slipstream possible. Quite frankly, a miracle he kept the lead, because it was the worst safety car restart I've ever seen. And none of it was his fault. Further back down, Gasly passes Sainz. It's madness everywhere. Then all of a sudden, Sergio Perez's name drops down the leaderboard. He's out. Nico Hülkenberg is out. We get a virtual safety car which turns into a full course safety car again. So Hulk, his tyres were too cold. Big spin into the gravel. Perez looked like a hydraulics issue. Big spin for him. He was out. So we have a double stop for the RB guys. We see a replay now of the safety car lights not going out. We see Pierre Gasly, who again is my hero. He's doing incredibly. He was briefly up to 5th, but then broke far too late, locked up massively, dropped down to 6th, or 7th, then got past Sainz again before the safety car came out. Safety car ends again now, lap 43 of 57. Much better restart this time for Max Verstappen, who actually knew the safety car was going to come in. And then we get the final flap of the butterfly's wings, because Alex Albon's mirror falling off his car, not only did it lead to Hamilton having a penalty, not only did it lead to Hamilton having a puncture, not only did it lead to Sainz having a puncture, not only did it lead to Zhou Guan Yu being in the points, it's now led to Lando Norris getting one of the most ridiculous penalties we've ever seen. 10-second stop and go penalty for Lando Norris for failing to slow down under yellow flags. My goodness. Now, let's break this down, because there is no argument at all that he didn't do it, because he did do it. We saw the replay, we saw the yellow flag, he hit the rev limiter, he did not lift. So there's no argument at all there that he doesn't deserve a penalty, because he does deserve a penalty. So let's put that to one side. Now let's deal with the massive issue of what the hell was that penalty. That is one of the most severe penalties I've seen handed out in recent F1 history. The only stop-and-go penalty that I can think of, and I may be wrong on this, of course, but the most recent one I can think of is when Lewis hit Max in Silverstone 2021. That, I think, was a 10-second stop-and-go penalty. Are you seriously telling me that Lando Norris not lifting off the accelerator in a yellow flag because of Albon's mirror is as bad as Lewis Hamilton nearly killing his title rival? Because I don't think it is. That was ridiculous, especially at this late point in the race, where with a stop and go, you have to take it within 3 laps of receiving the penalty. And with that, you have the 20 seconds or so of time in the pit lane mixed in with the 10-second pit stop, and then you've got, going in and out of the box. So all in all, that is a penalty of about 35 seconds. It is mind-boggling that they think that is the appropriate penalty to have, because I'm sure we've seen guys failing to slow down for yellows in qualifying or the race, and it's been a 5-second time penalty, or maybe an extreme example would just be a regular 10-second time penalty. That is ridiculous. Apparently, the FIA are going to release something tomorrow explaining that decision, because it's so ridiculous that they need to go, oh, actually, lads, here's our evidence, because it's I don't understand it at all, because Lando Norris goes from second to last place after this penalty. His race was relatively over. He was able to come back a little bit from here, but my God, this was crazy. I do not understand it whatsoever. And basically what they've done here is given anyone who says British bias free ammunition to go, yeah, but what the hell is this then, mate? Because that makes no sense whatsoever. And last time I checked, Lando Norris is from Bristol. So, this is... I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I'm going to check that Lando Norris definitely is from Bristol, because I don't want to be putting that on the internet when he's really from somewhere else. But yeah, it's I don't even know. He is from Bristol. Don't worry, everyone. It's okay. Let's continue with this race then, shall we? Because with that, oh my God, I'm lost. Lewis Hamilton also gets a penalty now, because we need more penalties. He gets penalty for speeding the pit lane, drive through for him. They contemplate retiring the car, but in the end they stick it out from there. Zhou is 8th with 10 laps to go. Crazy. Even more crazy is that it could be a double points finish for Sauber, because Alex Albon was P9 on the soft tyres, and the softs completely died. Magnussen passed him on lap 49, and then it was Bottas in 11th, chasing down Albon in 10th. Bottas was hunting him down, On lap 52, he ran wide. I thought that must be it. That's over. But he was right back on him. Then, on lap 53, Bottas passes Albon for P10, and I'm there celebrating. I can't believe it. Double points finish for the worst team on the grid. But then I see behind, Lando Norris is coming through, fueled by anger and fury after that ridiculous penalty. He's coming through. He passes Albon for P11, and one lap later, Lando Norris ruins Bottas' party. He gets P10 off Valtteri Bottas on lap 54. We have another penalty, everyone. Albon this time, 10 seconds for causing a collision. If I'm honest with you, don't even remember who he hit. Too much stuff happened. But as we cross the line, Max Verstappen wins the race. His 9th win of the year. Unbelievable from him this weekend, because through the practice session, through sprint qualifying, through the sprint, he was nowhere. They changed things up going into regular qualifying, and from then he did incredibly well to win this race. 9th win of the year. Fantastic. Leclerc is second, Piastri in third. The both of them, realistically, getting a podium because they just kept themselves to themselves. No penalties, no punctures, no bad pit stops. They just went, well, you're going to trundle along. Aha! Welcome to the podium. Well done, lads. George Russell finishes in 4th. Decent from him. I thought he had a lot more pace here, but of course, the bad pit stop at the start. Then he pits again under the safety car. It was on the hard tyres, which wasn't really working. And never guess what? He got a penalty after the race ended, because we needed one more penalty to send us home happy. He got a 5-second penalty for a safety car infringement. I think he overtook Alonso. I might be wrong on that. It didn't show a replay, but at one point they showed him overtaking Alonso, and I thought it was behind safety car. But anyway, 5-second penalty. Luckily for him, he did not lose a position for that because he had more of a 5-second gap. In 5th, though, Pierre Gasly, man. Fantastic from Gasly. He's had such a good little run at the minute. He's found this incredible form. It's 2021 Gasly back again. You know, the podium in Brazil, P3 in qualifying in Las Vegas, and blowing up the Alpine because he's too damn fast. Then here he is, had great pace throughout the entire weekend, couldn't get anything from the sprint, but 5th in the race. Great points again from Pierre Gasly, the now front man, the face of Alpine. In 6th is Carlos Sainz, a decent recovery from him after the puncture. Alonso gets some great points in P7, but the man of the moment is in P8. Zhou Guanyu matches his best ever race result in 8th to give Sauber their first points of the season in the penultimate race of the season. Easy driver of the day for Zhou. Incredible stuff. Magnussen gets some good points in P9. Then Lando Norris in P10 after that ridiculous penalty. He picks up the last points playing position of the race. Valtteri Bottas so close yet so far in 11th there. Lewis Hamilton brings it home in 12th. A bad weekend again for Lewis. Not really his fault in the race. He didn't have the pace of the front-running guys, but, you know, he should have done better than this without the puncture. It just seems like his confidence is fully in the toilet at this point, and I think he's just praying for that winter break to come, put the red overalls on, and hope that he can bring back that Lewis of old. Yuki Tsunoda in 13th, Liam Lawson 14th. RB, Racing Bills, whatever. They were just nowhere this weekend. Alex Albon was 15th, the last of the guys who actually finished the race. He had a very late pit stop to get off the soft tyres, and then he just went nowhere from there. And the DNFs, Hulkenberg, Perez, Stroll, Ocon, Colapinto. There you go. That is the Qatar Grand Prix. Oh, my God. Oh. I hope you enjoyed that one, because it was mental, and I fear the repercussions will ring on for time immemorial. That's right. I said time immemorial. So there we go. We have got one race to go in 2024. The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is here next weekend. The finale. We have still got the Constructors' title yet to be claimed. It will be Ferrari or McLaren. I think Red Bull are out of it now. I'll have to double check. But I'm pretty sure that they are out of it. So yeah, that is still to be claimed. The F2 champion is still to be claimed as well. Yeah, Red Bull are out of the Constructors' Championship, yeah. So F2, if you didn't see that already, there's a video on the channel, but Gabriel Bortoleto leads the championship by just half a point from Isaac Hadjar as we go into the finale for that. So very exciting there. F1 Academy is all sewn up, but they've got a race to come as well. The Advent calendar will be on the channel every day until Christmas Eve. So all of that to come on the channel. Then once the season's over, the videos don't stop here. We'll have videos every week on the channel as per usual. So loads of stuff to come. Subscribe for all of that. I will see you next time. Until then, though, have a good one. Goodbye.